Wherever you're listening, whether it be Ballyduff or Ballygunner, Passage or Portlaw, Dungarvan or Dunhill, tune in to I Love My Club By, the podcast that brings you closer to camogie and hurling in the Waterford club scene. Don't forget, hurling is our passion. That is correct. You're very welcome along to this week's episode of I Love My Club, the podcast, of course, that brings us closer to our local games about hurling and camogie. And I'm delighted to say it's also in partnership with ClubberTv. They bring exclusive coverage of all our games in Waterford. Looking at this weekend's schedule, Ballysaggart versus Mondeligo is available this Friday from 7:30. We also have Shamrocks versus Ballyduff Upper. That's Saturday at 3:30. And then, of course, St. Mary's versus Cappoquin from 5 p.m. At that time also, we've Erin's Own versus Ballyduff Lower at 5 p.m. They're all in the intermediate championship. Of course, to the senior, we've Rowmore versus Dunhill, and that's at Saturday from 5:15. Ballygunner face De La Salle, and that throws in at 7 p.m. That's available on ClubberTv. And Strabbally face on Ryan at 7:15 in the intermediate championship. Looking to Sunday, Mount Sion face Tallow in the senior championship from 2 p.m. St. Saviour's play Ballygunner in the intermediate championship at 2:30. And of course, Dungarvan face Clonea in the senior from 3:30. And then we also have 3 evening games from the intermediate championship. We have Ferrybank versus De La Salle. We've Tramore versus Portlaw, and finally in the Western Intermediate Championship, Bricky Rangers versus Clashmore. Of course, that's all available from ClubberTv, which you can find both on Instagram, Twitter, or also if you go on to ClubberTV on any browser, it will pop up and there you can find your subscription for the match. We're going to delve right back into last week's results. And of course, we had 4 games in the opening round of the Senior Championship. Ballygunner got off to a winning start over rivals Passage with a 119-107 victory. Patrick Fitzgerald was very impressive coming off the bench to score 5 points, and also he was included in a lot of scores and set up a lot of frees. Paddy Manny was also exceptional on the day with a tally of 1-9. He scored 1-5 from play. The Ballygunner man and Waterford, of course, hurler, seemed to be firing on all cylinders. And I spoke to Dara O'Sullivan as we looked ahead to, of course, De La Salle's fixture this weekend, Saturday in Welsh Park. As mentioned, that is an evening throw-in. And we also discussed their match against Passage last week, and this is what Dara had to say.
I'm joined by All-Ireland winning club manager Dara O'Sullivan. Dara, how are you?
Good, Seamus Barry. How are you keeping?
I'm not too bad. We were just speaking off air there about juggling all the balls. It seems to be a tireless task nowadays with everything that goes on with hurling.
Sure it is. That's the nature of it. You know, I'm trying to run a business as well as, you know, be involved with Ballygunner and that. And I also dig out the under 15s as well. So it's challenging to say at least, you know. I have a quiet woman at home, Seamus, which helps, you know.
Do you know what? I have one as well, but I'm learning lately that she's getting less and less quieter every time I say I can't go to something. But no, you said you're involved with the under 15s, and I think that's a really interesting piece because it makes it a very easy, well, not very easy, but it makes it an easier transition for younger players to come into the adult side with Ballygunner. Is that something you purposely worked on?
Not really, no. Look, my own young lad is that he's under 14, so I've been involved with him since the beginning, really. And look, the nature of it, you kind of stick with him, you know. So, and listen, I have good lads help me out there. Philip gives me a dig out, and Neil Kerwin, and, you know, there's a number of parents that have been there since the start as well. So listen, I have plenty of help, you know, which makes it a little bit easier, you know.
And I suppose that's always the fundamentals behind any kind of country club or, you know, any club at all really in hurling or Gaelic football is that everyone puts the hands to the pedal. But last weekend you kicked off your first round with a victory against Passage. Was it as comfortable as the scoreline suggested?
Look, to be honest with you, Passage came back into it, you know, in the second half. They brought it back to 6 points, you know, before half time. I'd say it was the goal that probably, you know, took a lot of momentum out of them, you know. But look, they stuck at it, in fairness to them, you know, and, you know, it was certainly a tough enough battle for us.
And I suppose the highly anticipated Patrick Fitzgerald came on in that game. You know, he's been a very, very impressive minor. How do you think Patrick got on with his first taste of senior championship?
Done well, yeah, he did, yeah. He got a couple of scores and he was directly involved, I think, with probably the last, you know, 5 of the last 6 or 7 scores we got. You know, he got a couple of frees as well and he passed the ball to Mikey. So listen, you know, Patrick is doing really, really well. People must understand that he's only a chap coming out of, you know, under 17 hurling into, you know, as I would call the old minor 18 assists, you know, and I'm not a great believer in that they should have changed the minor grade from 18 to 17. I think that's I don't think that was a great idea, to be honest with you. And look, as I said before, I said in WLR, Patrick is a long-term project as far as we're concerned. It's going to take him a good while to get up to the pace of playing adult hurling. And I think people need to accept that and not expect too much from him too quickly.
Is that something maybe, I wouldn't say a privileged sense, but in the case you have a team where you can afford to leave Patrick, and like you said, it's a long-term project. I completely agree. The under-17 should be scrapped and brought back to the old minor. This thing of taking a year away is nonsense. But maybe other teams would have to put Patrick, the likes of Patrick's caliber, straight in, whereas you can maybe give him a couple of years and let him find his feet.
Yeah, it probably helps, to be honest with you, that the numbers we have and the strength that we have in our panel, But look, Patrick is going to be a player for us. He's going to play. We expect him to be impactful in a lot of games. Whether that's starting or coming on or sitting it out, whatever it is, whatever role he's, we want him to play. I know Patrick will do that.
Yeah, and I suppose that's anyone that comes out, it's a lesson for us all. Like, everyone was really putting him up on a pedestal, and we've seen it before with other players in the county, and it's nice to suppose I see being introduced at a kind of not a slow pace but at a steady pace where he's not expected to take on the world straight away, which can only be good for his own development.
You'd like to think so, yeah.
Yeah. Looking ahead to this Saturday evening in Welsh Park again, you face De La Salle. The last time you faced them was in a county final, which you came out on top of again. Thoughts on this weekend after, if we're being honest, a very poor season for De La Salle last year?
Yeah, but look, I think that, I think everyone will say that De La Salle probably underachieved last year. At the start of every year, you look at De La Salle and you say, yeah, they're on paper, they're a serious outfit, and we're expecting for them to bounce back right up there now. And, we're expecting a huge battle on Saturday evening.
And I suppose I was speaking to Ian Flynn the other night, and he said the same. You set a standard, and I know it's something you're probably fed up of hearing. Is everyone is saying, Ballygunner are running away with the championship, but it's up to everyone else to get up to your level. And I think that's something Ian spoke very well about. That you've set a target; it's up for everyone else to reach it.
Yeah, look, I said a long time ago. For years I've been saying it that every year we try and, eke out areas in which to improve. And I firmly believe that if we don't improve, we'll be beaten. And I think year on year we have probably improved. And I'd say that's probably why we stayed ahead of the pack. But there was games last year that the pack were very close to us. In even you take the 4 Mile Water game, like going into the last quarter at 4 Mile Water, I think there's only a point or two in it. Mount Sion brought us to 2 points. I had a chance to win the game at the death through Alan Kerwin. Even the first game against Abbeyside, was a tight match as well. So, look, we honestly believe that if we don't improve, we'll be beaten. And that's the way we look at it,
And I suppose we'll park maybe this weekend, the last weekend, but just looking back very briefly, as we said, we know we're extremely busy. But sum up, I was there myself covering the game, the Ballyhale, 2 minutes to go. What's in your head? Jack Ruddle gets the ball. Please tell me you did not tell him to shoot from that far out, first of all.
It's all part of the massive plan, Seamus. Listen, look, coming down the stretch like that, in fairness, the lads kept their cool and we like to think we're a very process-driven team, and in fairness, the way the lads, they worked it in the heat of battle, in that environment when, there was carnage, it looked it was gone. And for the lads to walk the ball like they did was an example for any team, to be honest with you. And it was very satisfying from us as a management team to see the lads, do that. And look, Harry was phenomenal, to do what he done in that culture for a young fella coming in, it was unbelievable, really.
It was very reminiscent of I know you faced the Kilkenny club, but it was very reminiscent of a Kilkenny team. They wouldn't panic, they'd to keep their head, and last minute then, not a sucker blow, but they'd catch you like that with a goal. And I think it was well deserving. And I think overall, the county itself, I think it's a great thing for the county going forward. It'll inspire our next generation. I said it recently, I was in Crow Park. It's not very often a Waterford man goes up them steps, whether it's club, county, anything at all, or female for that instance. But I didn't get a chance to see you since, and big, massive congratulations for what you done. You had a hurdle there for Munster. Not only did you crush that, you went on and you went another level again. So look, I wish you all the best for this season. Hopefully we'll catch up over the year, and like I said, best of luck, and we'll see you Saturday evening.
Sound, thanks, Seamus.
Thanks very much for your time.
No bother. Stand up. Bye.
I also caught up with Ian Flynn, the De La Salle manager, his first year in charge. I spoke to the former full-back about their chances against Ballygunner, the All-Ireland club, Munster and continuously Waterford champions, which no doubt they will try to regain their title for a 9th consecutive season. I spoke to Ian to see if De La Salle can bounce back from their disappointing ways last year, which seen them at the wrong end of the senior championship. This is what Ian had to say. So I'm here in the De La Salle club grounds and I'm here with De La Salle manager Ian Flynn. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thanks a million.
Of course you have a massive battle ahead of you this Saturday, facing a team that's currently unbeaten in the last 8 years in the Waterford Championship. Have you been looking at yourselves or looking at them, or is it just all about you at the moment?
Look, we're all under no illusions, the task we faced the weekend, but look, we're kind of ultimately concentrating on ourselves from the start of the year and trying to get our own house in order and see where that takes us.
And I suppose looking back on last year, we always try to look forward in sport, but last year of course you were down the wrong end of the senior championship. The aim obviously this year, get out of the group and get into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that's the aim, and then after that we'll see what happens. But look, it was terribly disappointing last year, and the lads know, like, you know what I mean, that we need a bigger effort this year, a lot more. Everyone needs to up their game, and in fairness, they're after putting in a massive effort from the start of the year, and there's a big buy-in from the lads. So look, we'll see. You'll be judged on championship ultimately, so you can have all the challenge matches and that you want and think you're going well, but you'll be judged on the results of the championship. So. And
how have you found it personally? Of course, many people this will know you played for De La Salle for so many years. How have you found the transition into management?
Look, it's tough, but it's enjoyable as well. Like, you know, being that bit younger, still kind of, I'm managing a lot of the players I played with as well. Like, you know, but it has been enjoyable to have a good background team with me. Like, and you know, it's always something I was kind of going to get into. You know.
It's interesting when you say the enjoyment element, because I spoke with a couple of managers before the first round last week and I asked about fun. It seems to be getting knocked out of hurling nowadays. Are the lads still enjoying coming to the field, putting in the effort?
They are, and look, ultimately when they're training hard, you enjoy it, like, you know, in a kind of sick way. You know, they are training hard, and look, they seem to be, things are going all right training wise and that, so they are a good old buzz among the group.
And have you full panel for this weekend, full fitness?
We're probably down one or two, like, you know what I mean, but the game might be a bit too quick for one or two players, but look, the panel is there for a reason and it's up to someone else to stand up, like, you know, the weekend.
And did you get a chance last week to see obviously your two opponents in the group that played?
We did, yeah, we did. Look, you can analyse the teams all you want, like, you know what I mean. It's when the players cross the white line, it's not out of your hands, but ultimately the players have to make decisions on the field and stuff, and you know, so we'll be handing the onus to them. But look, we know that the task we face Saturday is absolutely huge. In fairness to Ballygunner, they've raised the bar so much, like, it's up to everyone else to get up to them, like, you know.
And of course, yourselves, you're no stranger to success. Obviously, we're here in the clubhouse, and for anyone that hasn't been here in recent years, there's been massive development. And I suppose, on reflection of last year, like I said, you were down the wrong end of the championship. De La Salle should be up the other end of the championship. Yeah, well,
look, on paper, there's the old cliche, like, on paper, you don't win any games, you know. We'd feel that we're better than where we were last year, but the results don't lie in the championship, and it's up to the lads now. We have to go out and kind of prove this year that, you know, hopefully we'll get a bounce from last year off the lads. The lads were fairly down themselves, you know, they felt they not let themselves down, you know, and they didn't perform the way they wanted to. But look, they're looking forward to the challenge because it's a great challenge ahead. There's no better way to test yourself against the All-Ireland champions, like, you know. So we'll see where we're at on Saturday.
Perfect. Well, thanks for talking to us, and best of luck with the championship and on Saturday as well.
No bother. Thanks a million.
Cheers, Ian. Of course, then looking ahead to this weekend's round 2 senior championship fixtures, of course,
Dunhill will get their campaign underway as they face Roemore. Of course, we spoke to Tom Casey last week about their hopes for the season. That throws in at 5:15 in Welsh Park. While Ballygunner face De La Salle, Ian Flynn's men get their campaign off with a visit from the All-Ireland champions Munster and Waterford champions. That throws in from 7 p.m. in Welsh Park. That is a double header. And on Sunday, we turn our attention to Tallow and Dennis Welch's men as they open their account against a very strong Mount Sion, who had a great win last week with a victory over Abbey side of a 226 to a 15-point scoreline. That throws in from Fairfield at 2, followed by the meeting of Dungarvan versus Clonea. Of course, Clonea get their campaign off Dara Duggan's men. They face Dungarvan, who had an impressive 6-point win last week over 4 Mile Water. That throws in from a 3:30 in Fairfield. So 2 double headers to look forward to. Looking at these fixtures, I gave a prediction of 4 out of 4 last week. I'm going to go with Peter Quealy's men, Roemore versus Dunhill. I think Dunhill will put up a good performance coming up from the intermediate grade, but I think Roemore, with a game under the belt, will be just too strong in this one. Ballygunner versus De La Salle, I think this one could be a very close affair. I still think Ballygunner, with a game under their belt, will pip this one. So I'm going for Roemore and Ballygunner on our Saturday's fixtures. And looking at Sunday, Mount Sion and Dungarvan for me. Mount Sion going very well under John Meany. Very impressive win over Abbeyside last week. Tallow and Clonea both come into this with their first games. I think this fixture might come a little bit too quick for both teams. So I'm going with Roemore, Ballygunner, Mount Sion and Dungarvan. And of course, if you want to send your predictions in, you can send them to our Instagram, YouTube or Twitter. That's all at I Love My Club By, and that's a B-O-I. So I loves me club by. So B-O-I at the end. I know a lot of people are getting caught with the spelling recently. As I mentioned, this is in association with ClubberTv. Of course, the subscription that brings you closer to the games, just like we're trying to do on this podcast. And they have coverage of a number of games this weekend, which we referenced at the start. I think it's over a total of 12 games this weekend in the Waterford Championship from intermediate and senior, which is just brilliant coverage. As I mentioned earlier, Clonea are one of the teams which will take to the field this weekend. They'll start with their opening game against Dungarvan. I caught up with Gary Moore, a selector with Clonea, and this is what Gary had to say ahead of the opening fixture against Dungarvan.
You're very welcome along to I Love My Club By, the podcast that brings you closer to our local games of Hurling and Camogie and Waterford. I'm delighted to say on the line I have Gary Moore, of course, who is a selector with Clonea. Gary, how are you?
Good, Seamus, thank you, yeah.
Of course, Gary, this is your third year with Clonea, and of course your fourth season at Clonea senior. Would you say you've established yourselves as a senior club over the last couple of years?
Yeah, well, it's a fourth year up senior now, Seamus. So yeah, at this stage, you'll be thinking that you'll be established at the senior level. Although, like, it's very difficult. At times, the quality is so high, you know, across those 4 groups, like, but yeah, fourth year senior, so definitely looking to be fully established this stage, yeah.
And I suppose with that, then the new structure this year with the groups has changed again. It means more games. Would you prefer the old style structure of, you know, kind of straight knockout, or would you prefer this one this time?
This structure in place at this moment looks a bit more promising. You know, I suppose at the end of the day, players want games and clubs want games as well, and it gives you the opportunity maybe to play an extra game or two at senior level, and that's what it's all about, really. So yeah, look, it looks like it's going to hopefully work out well.
Yeah, I've been speaking to a couple of managers on it, and they've said the exact same. You know, it's an extra game, it's an opportunity maybe to try out a few more players, and like you said, getting them vital games in at senior levels seems to be a collective decision that everyone's happy with. Looking forward to this weekend. Actually, what we'll do is, did you manage to catch any of the games last week, Gary?
Just actually the Ballygunner and Passage game there on Saturday evening. You
had to bring that up, didn't you?
Apologies, yeah, but it was the only game, yeah, that I caught the weekend. But no, it's great to be able to say, if sometimes you can't get the games to watch them online, it's good to have, you know. So, but that was the only game, yeah.
Yeah, and of course that's all in association with ClubberTv, who are doing an amazing job this year, bringing, of course, not just senior but intermediate and junior as well. So they're bringing great coverage. Looking at it, I suppose, you're playing Dungarvan, who got off to a winning start last week against 4 Mile Water, 6-point victory. Thoughts on this weekend's challenge against Dungarvan?
Yeah, look, we know it's going to be a massive game for us. Dungarvan, very well established senior hurling team. Got to a semi-final last year. Probably were unlucky to lose a couple of players before the game and during the game. And I suppose, look, they probably have aspirations of kicking on again this year, and they've started their campaign quite well. So look, we're looking forward to the game Sunday, but we know we've a massive task ahead of us.
And how have preparations been going so far in the build-up? Of course, Waterford being knocked out earlier in the championship. Billy Power, of course, was firing on all cylinders in senior championship last year. How's preparation been going?
Yeah, we're going fine, Seamus. I suppose. Look, we've been the victim of maybe COVID times in that we have a lot of players who kind of went away there for a few weeks, a few months during the summer. Which didn't really help things that well for us. But look, they're coming back slowly but surely. We'd love to have them back a bit sooner, or they didn't go at all. But look, you can't stop, I suppose, these lads from going away after the last 2 years I've been in it, So, look, preparation has gone fine. There's been players who've stepped in, I suppose, that maybe mightn't have played as much senior in the last couple of years, have stepped in and played a few league games, played a number of challenge matches, and we've been very, very impressed and very, very happy with them. So, yeah, look, it's gone fine. But again, mammoth task ahead of us on Sunday.
And of course, it is a double header in Fairfield this weekend. If anyone's unavailable to get to the game, to obviously make sure to tune into ClubberTv, where we'll have coverage of all the games. The ambition this year to get out of the group, Gary?
Yeah, look, I suppose it's something we haven't really discussed. It's certainly a case of taking each game as it comes, Seamus, to be honest. We're relegation the last couple of years there now. So, obviously, the players and the management and the club themselves would like to think that we'd kick on a small bit more, But, again, look, senior hurling in Waterford, it is what it is. It's cutthroat. Some of the teams there are very, very strong, very, very competitive. Some fantastic players across all the teams. So, yeah, look, obviously, you love to kick on, especially kick on from National anyway.
Well, brilliant. Well, look, like I said, double header in Fairfield. Get as many people as possible to the game, and if not, watch it on a ClubberTv. Gary, thank you very much for talking to us. We wish you all the best with Clonea this year, and hopefully we'll chat to you during the season.
Very welcome, Seamus. Thank you.
And of course, as mentioned, you can get all your games this weekend with ClubberTv, or you can get out to the action. Double headers coming from both Welch Park and Fairfield. Games kicking off at 5:15 on Saturday. Romore versus Dunhill, followed by Ballygunner versus De La Salle at 7 p.m. And of course, on Sunday we have Mount Sion versus Tallow from Sunday at 2 p.m. in Fairfield, and that's followed by the meeting of Dungarvan versus Clonea. So a lot of action to look forward to this weekend. Of course, we have a load of intermediate games available on ClubberTv, with Ballysaggart and Mondeligo kick it off on a Friday night, and the last game coverage wrapping up on a Sunday. Bricky Rangers versus Clashmore. So plenty to watch out for this weekend, plenty of talking points next week. We'll have, of course, exclusive interviews, and we'll catch up with the managers, and we'll have analysis of the games. Of course, last weekend, like we said, Mount Sion came out on top. Ballygunner impressed early on. You would have to say Dungarvan had a good win. Mount Sion overall for me were very impressive last weekend. A very, very good performance and a very good win against Abbeyside. And of course, the football hasn't started. You'd think Abbeyside would have had a strong performance, but Mount Sion coming out on top in that one. And of course, Romore pipped Lismore. There was a lot of rumours that Lismore had injuries. It didn't seem as if they were as badly hampered as maybe made out. But Romore, of course, Peter Quealy's charges pushed on with a late goal from Emmett O'Toole, which sealed a victory there. So join us next week. Of course, I Love My Club by. You can get us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Of course, if you want any reaction, get in touch. We have our email at ilovesmyclubby@gmail.com. And of course, this podcast was in association with ClubberTv, the subscription that brings you closer to your local games in Waterford. Have a great weekend, and I'll chat you next week, guys. Wherever you're listening, whether it be Ballyduff or Ballygunner, Passage or Portlaw, Dungarvan or Dunhill, tune in to I Love My Club by, the podcast that brings you closer to camogie and hurling in the Waterford club scene. Don't forget, hurling is our passion.